I'm sorry, I'm an old teacher, so I can't do anything without an audio-visual here. Or in this case, just a visual. First map you see here is simply the real state of Utah. The stuff that is colored in red, I hope on that map, is the private property in this state. That's all there is. That is what the state of Utah can control. Most people, when they look at that, are just amazed at how that situation exists. Now, everything in blue on this map is the percentage of each state that is owned by and controlled by the federal government. And you can see there is a wide disproportion. Even though the federal government now controls 1 out of every 3 acres, it's almost all congested here in the West. And if I were to hold up the other chart, which tells you the states in red are the ones that have the hardest time funding their education system, and you look at the red here and the blue over there, you'll see there is an amazing correlation between the two of these. States with a high amount of public property have a difficult time funding their education system. Now, to be honest, this is a time in which this kind of argument can now be made, because a lot of my friends who serve in Congress back east, they look at this map and they'll go, wow, I didn't understand, I didn't realize, and basically they don't care. Sovereignty arguments, fairness arguments, they don't care about. But when you start talking about how this impacts kids, they all have kids and they care about it. When I remind them that they're paying $8 billion a year to maintain the control of the West and hurt our kids, all of a sudden they care about it. In fact, I think it's about time to start another Occupy movement, like an Occupy BLM, because 99% of all the revenues that are generated on federal land and by federal projects in the United States comes from 1% of the land. And most of that land is not in Utah. It's actually, most of it is off the coast. Utah could be generating a whole lot of revenues that would go to help pay our infrastructure and help pay our kids and our education system if they were simply allowed to do it by the federal government. And that is why I am so grateful of what the legislature is doing here. What the legislature is basically saying is, look at the map. Massachusetts occupies Massachusetts. Maine occupies Maine. It's about time we allowed Nevada to occupy Nevada and Utah to occupy Utah, and to receive the benefits of the resources that happen to be there. And, more importantly, to do it intelligently. They're not going to strip mine everything, because you don't have resources everywhere. But if the state of Utah is now willing to meet together and come up with a matrix of how you actually can preserve land by the state, and states have the equal ability to do that as the federal government does, and how you maintain access for recreation purposes, which the government in Washington is slowly closing down in the West, so that people do have the ability of hunt and fishing and recreating on public lands, and develop the resources that are there, so the state can not only get property taxes, but they can also get income taxes from high-paying jobs, as well as royalties payments and severance taxes at the same time. Then there is something. The state of Utah is willing to stand up and say to the federal government, look, we are ready to take responsibility for the state of Utah. I think there is time for a paradigm shift, which happens every 40 to 50 years back in Washington, to say now is the time to change the way we manage public lands in the West. The West is ready. The West needs it. It is now time to change the way we have done things traditionally, because what we have done traditionally flat out does not work. It hurts our kids. And I'm proud of this legislature for stepping up. I'm proud of the governor for being willing to sign this resolution and bill today. And we pledge back in Washington to do whatever it takes to try and move this issue forward and to help the state of Utah and to help our kids. Thank you.